Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
A gene test is causing concerns. The test is made by a company linked to the Chinese military, and it's sold in over 50 countries around the world. NTD's Tiffany Meyer has more.
Several countries are scrutinizing a Chinese-made gene test. Reuters reports that 5 governments are examining the test. That's because the company that produces it has ties to the Chinese military. Chinese company BGI's test screens for genetic conditions like Down syndrome. It's marketed under the brand name Nifty. Over 8 million women have taken the test globally, and it's still being sold in more than 50 countries. Some doctors and clinics that promote the test told Reuters they were unaware the company has ties to the Chinese military. Health regulators from Canada, Germany, Australia, Estonia, and Slovenia voiced concern. They're asking the Chinese company to disclose how they use the women's genetic data. Reuters previously reported that BGI has been working with Chinese military hospitals. Their research includes strengthening Chinese soldiers and making their bodies suitable for fighting at high altitudes. They also conducted mass testing for pathogens. The U.S. top counterintelligence officer under former President Trump warned that Chinese biotech companies could be helping the communist regime collect other countries' citizens' healthcare data. He told CBS that the CCP has also likely stolen all personal data belonging to about 80% of all Americans. A top American scientist says he heard about the CCP virus in Wuhan 2 weeks before Beijing issued its first warning. In a new Spike Lee documentary, Professor Ian Lipkin reveals he learned of the initial virus outbreak on December 15, 2019. That's almost 3 weeks before the World Health Organization reported the first case of the infection, which causes COVID-19, on social media. In the documentary, he didn't disclose where he heard the information. Lipkin is an infectious disease expert at Columbia University. He flew to China to investigate the outbreak early last year. His story undermines Beijing's official timeline for the CCP virus origin and resulting outbreak. At that time, China had said there were only 5 cases in Wuhan, a mega city home to 11 million people. Lipkin says the delay, combined with Beijing's refusal to admit human-to-human transmission early on, eventually brought on the pandemic's disastrous consequences. He also quoted his Chinese research team coworker, Professor Lu Jiahai. Lu said global virus spread could have been prevented with better early warning systems.
Now an update on the Americans and Afghan allies waiting to fly out of Afghanistan. The State Department says there are still around 100 Americans stuck in the country after the U.S. evacuation mission ended 1 week ago. But some are pegging that number at much higher.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Qatar assured that the U.S. has been in contact with the Taliban in recent hours to confirm arrangements on a diplomatic departure plan to fly folks out of Afghanistan.
We're holding the Taliban to the commitments that they've made to ensure the free passage and safe travel for anyone who wants to leave Afghanistan.
The administration has declined to heed Republicans' calls to give a full number of Americans still there. They say the number is constantly fluctuating as more people leave and are confirmed. Biden administration officials have said 100 Americans are waiting to leave, but Congressman Darrell Issa says it's likely that 500 are still there. The administration says this number could differ because some people were torn between staying and leaving.
Any American citizens who wish to do so, Afghans who worked for us, including the special immigrant visa applicants or visa holders, other Afghans at risk. And the entire international community is looking to the Taliban to uphold that commitment.
House Foreign Affairs Ranking Member Michael McCaul said that 6 planes were being prevented from leaving an airport in northern Afghanistan, and that the Taliban were holding Americans hostage. And an Afghanistan-based nonprofit, Ascend, said that 600-plus Afghans, in addition to 19 Americans, were being prevented from leaving the airport. Blinken replied that a small number are unable to leave because they lack the right documents. He'll testify before the Senate on the Afghanistan withdrawal next week. Meanwhile, Americans and Afghans who are still stuck there are completely under Taliban control.
Neither we came to existence based on one ethnic group, nor have we struggled for one ethnic group. nor do we represent one ethnic group. We represent the whole of Afghanistan, and we talk on the level of the whole of Afghanistan.
He announced the Taliban's official takeover Tuesday, designating key positions in their new government. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
More than 900 documents have been released that show the U.S. paid for research on various types of coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The institute is in Wuhan, the Chinese city where the CCP virus first appeared.
The newly released documents were obtained by The Intercept in connection to a lawsuit against the National Institutes of Health. The documents show that EcoHealth Alliance, a U.S.-based health organization, used federal money to fund research into bat coronaviruses at the Chinese lab. The federal grant provided EcoHealth Alliance with a total of $3.1 million, including about $600,000 to use at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Part of the U.S. funds was used to identify and alter bat coronaviruses likely to infect humans, according to The Intercept. The grant was initially awarded for a 5-year period from 2014 to 2019. Funding was renewed in 2019, but suspended by the Trump administration in April 2020. Following the release of the documents, Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist at Rutgers University, wrote on Twitter, "The documents make it clear that assertions by the NIH Director Francis Collins and the NIAID Director Anthony Fauci that the NIH did not support gain-of-function research or potential pandemic pathogen enhancement at WIV are untruthful." The newly released documents will no doubt raise further questions regarding the theory that the CCP virus pandemic originated from a lab leak in Wuhan.
Children going to California's public schools may be asked to chant the names of Aztec gods. Sounds bizarre, but it's true. Parents are now suing the state for adding this into the curriculum. NTD's Miguel Moreno has that story.
New World explorers wrote of the Aztec Empire's ritual human sacrifices, sacrifices made to their gods. Fast forward some 500 years, teachers in California's public schools can have their students chant the names of these Aztec gods.
In the model curriculum, for this ethnic studies model curriculum, there's approved prayers to 5 Aztec gods, and it's kind of in the guise of a affirmation or an energizer.
Paul Jonah is special counsel at the Thomas More Society, the nonprofit law firm representing the parents and organizations suing the state over these chants.
They are, in fact, prayers. They're invoking these gods' assistance, their intercession, they're praising them.
Jonah says it's clear black-letter law that prayer is not allowed in public schools. In other words, the firm's accusing California of violating the Establishment Clause, which prohibits the government from favoring any religion. In the state's curriculum, we found the chants Jonah's firm calls prayers, one of which does include chanting the names of multiple Aztec gods. Above them, it says the chants can be used as energizers to bring the class together, build unity around ethnic studies principles and values, and to reinvigorate following a lesson that may be emotionally taxing or even when student engagement may appear to be low. California's Department of Education hasn't gotten back to us.
So has this already been taught to children? Have children already been exposed to this?
I hope not. I think that this is the first year that they're going to have the chance to this school year, and the school year just started. So we're hoping we're going to get an injunction before any kid is exposed to this. I don't have any information or anything to suggest that it's already been taught, but it can be.
In a statement to the Epoch Times, Californians for Equal Rights Foundation, a plaintiff in the suit, claims the chanting irresponsibly glorifies Aztec deities whose religious rituals involved human sacrifice and dismemberment. Miguel Moreno, NTD News.
With 1 week left until California's gubernatorial recall election, candidates are increasing their campaign efforts. The White House says the president and vice president will aid the California governor in his campaign efforts. Here's NTD's Cynthia Kai with more.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters aboard Air Force One on Tuesday that President Joe Biden is planning to visit California ahead of the gubernatorial recall election. When asked if Biden would assist Governor Gavin Newsom ahead of the recall, she said, "He will be. I expect we'll have more to report to all of you or announce on a trip he'll take early next week, later today." Vice President Kamala Harris is also planning to campaign in the Bay Area for Newsom on Wednesday.
Let's vote no
Biden's planned trip to California comes after other prominent Democrats, including Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, joined Newsom's recall campaign over the Labor Day weekend.
The question is, what will likely voters do? What will you do over the course of the next 8 days to determine the fate and future not just of the current governor of the state of California, but the fate and future of this state?
Republican candidate and radio host Larry Elder also held campaigns in Los Angeles over the holiday weekend. He addressed California's education system, homelessness, the pandemic, and more. In an interview with Fox News, Elder makes an argument for school choice.
I'm a champion for school choice. As you pointed out, the money should follow the child rather than the other way around. The biggest obstacle, the teachers union. Not teachers, the teachers union. The largest funder of my opponent. And they are adamantly opposed to choice because the teachers would not, of course, become automatic union members. They would not get automatic dues.
With only a week left until Election Day, in-person voting centers are starting to open. People can either vote in person or by mail. California voters have until September 14th to cast their votes. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.
Sweden will push ahead with easing pandemic restrictions at the end of this month. The government said on Tuesday it'll remove most curbs and limits on public venues such as restaurants, theaters, and stadiums. With most adults vaccinated, Sweden has gradually eased some restrictions over the summer. While infections have increased in recent weeks due to the spread of the more contagious Delta variant, deaths from the disease have remained low. Sweden didn't opt for hard lockdowns throughout the pandemic and instead relied heavily on voluntary recommendations on issues such as social distancing and hygiene. The country has suffered many times more COVID-19 deaths per capita than its Nordic neighbors, but less than many larger European countries that employed hard lockdowns. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to catch all of our programs on TV. NTD Evening News is on every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Find your local NTD channel at ntd.com/TV.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.